Welcome back to Funky Politics, the hardest hitting political show on the planet. Hey, and we are back. I am DC, that's right, host of this world famous program we call Funky Politics here at the KUDZUKIAN Network. And let me tell you something. I want to get right into the show today. We've got a lot of show for you today. I'm going to tell you who my guest is in just a minute. But first of all, I want to talk a little bit about VP Debate 2020. It was very interesting. There was a lot of things that occurred. I think we'll let you kind of determine from just this little clip here. Check this out right here on the VP Debate just the other night.
American people have witnessed what is the greatest failure of any presidential administration in the history of our country.
Separated by plexiglass, Senator Kamala Harris wasted no time slamming President Trump's decision to downplay the virus to, in his words, prevent a panic.
How calm were you when your kids were sent home from school and you didn't know when they could go back? How calm were you when your children couldn't see your parents because you were afraid they could kill them?
Vice President Mike Pence, the head of the coronavirus task force, defended the administration.
But I want the American people to know that from the very first day, President Donald Trump has put the health of America first.
And said the Biden-Harris plan was nothing new.
Quite frankly, when I look at their plan that talks about advancing testing, creating new PPE, developing a vaccine, it looks a little bit like plagiarism.
Whatever.
Hey, it's important that we make sure as educated voters that we hear both sides, right? And I think viewing the vice presidential debate the other night, it may not have swayed a lot of voters, but I think it allowed some of us to maybe dot that I or either cross that T and say, well, I can go this way or I can go this way. I need to see more. So maybe this next presidential debate, if it goes off, we'll check that out. But you know what? Our president, 45, that's Donald J. Trump, he decided after this debate that the vice presidential debate, there'll be no stimulus. There'll be no stimulus. Then within a few hours, he said, well, maybe there will be some stimulus. Hey, check this out right here. I want you to take a listen.
Yet another curveball into the prospects of a new relief package. Just yesterday afternoon, the president had said that the White House's offer of $1.6 trillion in aid was very generous, and he accused House Speaker Nancy Pelosi of negotiating in bad faith before he shut down the talks. But very shortly after, some moderate Republicans, including those in very competitive districts, urged the president not to walk away. GOP Congressman John Katko was in a dead heat with his Democratic challenger in central New York, and he tweeted this: "With lives at stake, we cannot afford to stop negotiations on a relief package," and he strongly urged the president to rethink this move. Meanwhile, Susan Collins of Maine, who is in danger of losing her seat, called walking away a huge mistake and said that she had called the Treasury Secretary to register her complaint. Now,
I'm not sure right now. Are we leading by shock value? It's either support the economy, support the American people with additional stimulus into our economy or not. This football game, it appears that maybe it's the South against the North, or maybe the old North-South game, but we're losing, folks. And I think our Congress and our president ought to get together and make a final decision. Are we going to do stimulus or are we not going to do stimulus? And I think a lot of people, the airline industry, number one, is one of those that they're hurting. They're asking for about $28 billion, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. But I don't know. I think some people need to get up off their can. I'm not going to say who that is. This is a very nonpartisan show. I want to make sure you all know that. Funky Politics, we are for what's right. We are for what's right. And speaking of what's right, coronavirus 2.0, this thing isn't going anywhere. It seems like there's a resurgence. And I was just checking out John King the other day on CNN, and take a listen to what he says.
It gets colder. 25 states heading in the wrong direction. That means reporting more new infections now compared to a week ago. You see the orange and the red on the map. Those are the states heading in the wrong direction. They now include Texas and Arizona. They, of course, were a big part of the summer surge. Let's hope those are just temporary switches there. But 25 states heading up, 22 states holding steady, only 3 states. Only 3 of the 50 states reporting fewer infections now than a week ago. That is very troubling as you head into the colder weather. 5 states reported over 2,000 new cases yesterday. 5 states. Now, maybe you're not surprised when you see big states like Florida, Texas, and California with more than 2,000 new infections. But look, Kansas. Kansas, more than 2,000 new infections reported yesterday. Wisconsin as well. Wisconsin is a hot spot. And this is the saddest map of all. And again, when you have more cases, which we have at the moment, then count a week or two, you get more deaths. 22 states. It's the red and the orange, and you notice it's across the northern half of the country where temperatures are colder right now. 22 states reporting more deaths, more coronavirus deaths now compared to a week ago. 11 holding steady, 17.
I think that a map cannot tell the full story of what has happened to our shores here with this coronavirus, this COVID-19 piece. But there's 210,000 families out there right now that can tell you exactly that this thing has not gone anywhere. They're still hurting. They've lost loved ones. Please remember, I don't care where you are in this country, try and still observe wearing that mask. It does help. Don't worry about what the person at the top is saying. The masks do work. Make sure you wash your hands, and as much as you can, socially distance. Please do that for us. We need you around here because we love you here on Funky Politics. We love you here. Speaking of love, oh my God, man! On today's show, I have got a world-class, world-renowned columnist with the Commercial Appeal newspaper, Tonyaa Weathersbee. She's been on the show numerous times. But I needed to bring somebody. I need to bring a heavy hitter in today because I think we need to dissect, number one, the vice presidential debate. I think we need to dissect this COVID-19, this thing that's not going anywhere. I don't want to call it resurgence. It's never going anywhere, right? So we're going to do a little bit more talking about where do we go from here. I said this show is going to just be called The Flies Have It. So we'll be right back with more of Funky Politics, my very special guest, Tonyaa Weathersbee with the Commercial Appeal newspaper.
KUDZUKIAN. So we're talking about actual harm against actual people.
Different episodes, you come up with a more surprising thing.
You just taking baby steps, talking about escapism and like, yo, I'm mad, but I'm tired.
Hello. It is a privilege and an honor to join you for this special ceremony.
I can't tell you how privileged and pleased I am to be a part of the most critical conversation of 2020.
Sickle cell disease from birth to childhood up. So thank you for joining us.
KUDZUKIAN. Check out all your KUDZUKIAN favorites now. Download the KUDZUKIAN app, available on Android and iOS.
And we are back with Funky Politics here. Hey. I am DC, the host of this wonderful program, and as promised, look who's here. I got the one and only
Bringing the noise and the funk.
Bringing the noise and the funk. Lord, I got Tonyaa Weathersbee in the studio today with me, and we're kind of social distance over here. We did kind of like the president the other day. Yeah. We've had our test already, so we're good. Yeah. But Tonyaa, whoa, welcome back to Funky Politics, number one. But we got so much to talk about. Let's talk about the debate. Your thoughts as a whole, just an overarching, and we're going to get into some specifics, but your overall thoughts about the debate.
I think both candidates came and they did what they needed to do. I think that Kamala Harris reassured people, about her chops to probably be president if something happened to Joe Biden, which unfortunately you have some elements who are trying to exploit that and trying to use a racist angle to exploit that about if he dies, look who's going to be president. But sure. I think she more than reassured people that she could take on that role. I think she did a very good job of looking at the audience and bringing out the pertinent issues that all voters should be concerned about: health care, the fact that this administration has been an abysmal failure when it came to containing coronavirus, and she did great with that. I think she missed a couple of opportunities to draw Pence out on a couple of things about their health care plan.
Sure. They
had no plan. I would have kind of drawn him out on that a little bit more. But, she was working amid some limitations because she was interrupted like 16 times by this guy. And Susan Page wasn't able to control a lot of that. Either she wasn't paying attention to it or not. But Pence tried the same thing. Pence, it sat up there and did pretty much what I kind of expected him to do, like he normally does when he's with Donald Trump. He sits back, he just echoes lies that Trump did, and he was speaking to the base. He didn't convince anybody new. He was speaking to their base of voters when he repeated the same things that he always repeated about this is America and we'll get through this and I'm going to talk to all Americans. And
So you thought it was cheerleading?
Yeah, it was cheerleading. It was pretty much cheerleading.
Okay.
It was pretty much cheerleading. So that didn't surprise me.
Not to
didn't
downplay
surprise me.
cheerleading. I mean, cheerleading is a wonderful sport,
and
it's a wonderful opportunity for people to take part in.
He pretty much came and did what I expected him to do, and what most people expected him to do, to talk to the base and everything. Because at the end of the day, it's hard to defend 210,000 people dead from something you could have prevented.
But now, I want to stop you right there. I want to stop you right there because I want to make sure that our listeners and our audience who are viewing this right now with us via these multiple platforms that didn't get a chance to see the debate. I think, and this is just my personal opinion, I think the vice president, and it wasn't his role to ask this question, but the vice president zinged her or dinged her, so to speak, with this court packing piece. And their campaign has been very quiet.
Yeah.
Now, the ultra progressives, and I would say progressives and in general, and some liberals have said, we need to expand the court. Did she miss, or has the campaign missed an opportunity to really talk to their base and say, look, we've got to do
this.
What we've got to do?
Yeah. Here's what I think is going on with that. I think both her and Joe Biden are kind of evading that question because I think they're using it as a bargaining tool right now. And so if you get up and you say, I'm going to pack the court, then that kind of shows your hand to the other guy. I think right now they may feel it's a chance that if the Republicans who not think that they have that bargaining, think that they may do that, that they might be able to get them to not, confirm Amy Coney Barrett. Now, obviously that's a long shot. That's a long shot. But at the same time, they're probably trying to play it close to the vest because you don't want a lot of the moderates that you're trying to attract to think that you're going to go on some radical tear once you get into office.
But is it a radical tear, though? Is it a radical tear?
No, it's not.
And I'm
It's not a radical tear.
Because, number one, we have 12 appellate courts in our country.
Yeah.
But we only have 9 justices. And each justice is really assigned pretty much an appellate. But now... So some justices get to play, they get to switch it a little bit. So is it that much to say that maybe the Supreme Court does need to be expanded?
No, it's not. It's not radical. But look at who you're talking to, though.
Well,
look at who you're talking to.
There you go.
Look at the electorate.
I didn't want to say that.
Yeah, look at who you're talking to. But it does, but having said that, quite frankly, I don't blame Kamala for not, because the moderator didn't ask that question. Pence, I don't have to answer your question.
That's very
true. The moderator didn't ask me that. So you need to go somewhere else with that. That's the thing about that. But
she did pull out.
But
she
he
did pull out
kind
the
of
name.
zing a little bit on that for the people who care about that. I'm not certain that most people outside the Beltway don't care about that as much. But here's the thing about thing about court. I would say court expansion. First of all, we need to revise. We need to. It's high time that system was, like the Electoral College, was revamped anyway. It was because we've had this for a long time. Somebody suggested to me the other day that maybe it's time to seriously look at giving the justices,
term limits.
Yeah, term limits.
Whoa.
Maybe let them stay on maybe 18 years. And when we say that, I don't mean, make them run for office and nothing like that, because obviously that makes them vulnerable to politics.
Because I think what we need to explain to our listeners and our viewers now is that there are lifetime appointments for the federal courts, and that is the lower courts all the way to appellate to the Supreme Court.
And it was wisely, it was done, obviously it was done to insulate them from politics so they could do. But the fact is, the fact that you got the President of the United States in the Republican Congress, but a Republican Senate, trying to rush this woman through when we got a coronavirus pandemic, we got the stimulus package, you got people losing their homes, you got people being evicted. They're gonna put all of that in, and actually the reason why a lot of them have stuck with Trump is because they want it. There have been conservative activists who've been working on this for ages. They're people who hate diversity. They've never gotten over the civil rights movement, and they want to see the court like this. So this is their crown jewel right here. So they're gonna throw everything out to get this lady on the court.
Let me throw this out there then, Tonyaa. Is this payback for what some in the Senate and I'm sure the House, they see the writing on the wall and they say, look, I think we're going to lose the Senate.
Yeah.
And I know we're not going to recapture the House,
Yeah.
but I think we're going to lose the presidency. So we're going to get something out of this deal.
Yeah.
So can you blame them for trying to get the last deal?
Oh, not at all. That's what they're trying to do.
Hey, it's the art of the deal, right?
You know what? This whole thing, the reason why Trump was able to carve out his narrow victory was a lot of folk who didn't particularly care for his manner, his style, his competency. A lot of these they want that Supreme Court. That's what the people who are fired up and want to overturn Roe, who want to put limits on voting rights and things like that. That's why they've hung in there with him for all this time. That's what they want.
This is what it's all about. You think it's
about
Roe v. Wade? It's about
been like this the whole time. This is exactly why in 2016 when people were saying, "Oh, I'm not going to vote for Hillary because of the crime bill." Sure. 94 crime bill. She said super predator in 96, and we kept Supreme Court. Keep your eye on the Supreme Court because, you can do something about bad legislation. You can change that. But a bad Supreme Court justice, looking at you, Clarence Thomas, is forever.
Whoa. Did she just call out Clarence Thomas,
yes.
y'all? Whoa. Hey, I'm not going to call him Uncle Clarence, but he's been around quite well. Somebody, I'm going to leave that. I didn't mean to term Uncle Clarence, but simply put, I just want to make sure that our listeners and our viewers understand that we are being completely opaque or transparent and saying, I do believe, and this is my personal opinion, that the Democrats say, look, this is get back for Garlic Mayor, Mayor Garland, right? So you all denied us the right to a Supreme Court justice from the president. And so now she did make mention in 1864 that President Lincoln did decide that he was not during an election season going to nominate a person to the Supreme Court, and so he made the decision. And she went there with that. But again, I'm not so sure. That's not law.
Here's the entire dilemma enveloping this whole situation. Mitch McConnell has broken the Senate. When he decided that, we weren't going to confirm Merrick Garland, he makes up this new rule out of, we're not going to confirm a Supreme Court justice in an election year. When he did that, when they stole a seat, let's just say what it is, when they stole a seat, now Ruth Bader Ginsburg, when she passed, they basically have been supposed to be liars and hypocrites. They did this. So here's the problem. You have them doing this because they believe they have the power to do it and they should do it. You even had this, the senator out of Louisiana, John Kennedy, says, well, the party in power can do what it wants to do. Okay, sir. So if you're saying that you have absolute power and you're going to do what you want to do, then what's to stop? Let's all play by that rule.
Sure.
When the Democrats take power, then don't whine if they expand the court.
And they get rid of the filibuster.
And you get rid of filibuster because you called it. That's what you said. Whoa. The party in power should get to do whatever they want to do. Let's play your game then. Which is really bad for democracy and for the rule of law because you need to. That's exactly why we do things the way we do so that this won't happen. But Mitch McConnell has done that. He has all those bills that could help people sitting on his desk right now. He even brags about it. He said he's a Grim Reaper. So he's doing these things because he has the power to do it. Somebody else gets the power, then you don't have a lot of room to talk.
So this is clearly
which
a violation.
Is not a good thing. Which is bad.
Clearly a violation of the sandbox rules. But anyway,
which is bad.
I want to move on.
Things shouldn't work that way.
I want to talk about some of the expressions that I've seen some of the conservative pundits out there say that the expressions on Senator Harris's face were they were demeaning, they were this, and but is that further dog whistling and an attack on what we can see, what some consider to be this angry black woman moniker? Is that what's happening out there, Tonyaa?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. And every black woman in the world who's ever been in a position where you've been on, in a situation with a lot of white guys, been in a situation where you're trying to make a point, they keep interrupting you, or you're passionate about something, and they mistake your passion for incompetence. I mean, I've been through this a lot. When I was on the editorial board at the Florida Times Union in Jacksonville, I mean, race issues, inequality issues, I'm always passionate about those, But if I express it in a passionate way, I'm expected to be as stoic as they are. They can afford to be stoic because the same issues don't affect their community. They affect mine, but I'm spitting facts. But they want to that's her talking again. And later on, they found that I was telling the truth.
Well, let's talk about that. Though. I mean, not necessarily.
She was all of us.
Well, not necessarily the Florida Times Union, but why is it? I mean, I guess they see maybe the evening news and they see women that are passionate about, and they may catch some of these things where you see people in some domestic issues, and maybe the woman is expressing herself, but. From time to time, women have always expressed themselves with their hands, with their facial.
Women,
and it's just not black women, but
it's women.
Why is it that black women have been painted in these corners to say that you're angry because you are passionate? But now white females, typically are not that way.
Because that's just the way we've always.
I've never heard of an angry white woman. I've heard plenty of angry black women, but never angry white woman.
Yeah, well, because that's just the way we've always been portrayed. That's always been an excuse to write us off. With all the struggles and all the passion we have about things, for all our gifts and our competency. There's always been this effort to just write us off. And that's that's the thin reed of an excuse they use to write us off. Those expressions Kamala Harris would make it, those expressions that I'm going to make when somebody's just straight up lying, and straight up saying unbelievable stuff like, what the hell you say? I mean,
and she didn't say what the hell you said. Well, this is funky politics, but I know she probably wants to look. Hey, we can meet our back, Doc, after this, because what's going on there right now is kind of ugly.
And when he kept interrupting her, the dignified, sir, I said on my Facebook page, all right, it's time to get the T-shirts made. I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
I thought that was pretty heavy.
Ooh, yeah, she said, I'm speaking.
Vice President, sir, I'm speaking now.
And I think that probably woke up a lot of, and I think what his interrupting didn't help win suburban women at all. But that's the thing we live with. We black women, angry all the time, and we're mad because they don't know why. But the thing is we've been put in a position where we've endured all of these issues. We've endured the worst of things. But when you squeeze into this box in this particular society, they want you to behave like a little soldier, or
some genteel person or something.
Genteel person who's always gonna we don't have any feelings. We're supposed to just take it as it comes and just behave like nothing affects us.
Is that something that probably comes from our country's long history of slavery? Because the black woman
of slavery
was always thrown, and I'm not discounting the black man, but the black woman had to bear children, had to bear sometimes the master's children, and had to still go in the fields not long after delivering a baby. So they're used to all of this. And you just got to take it.
Yeah. Well, they're used to all of this. I mean, case in point, you have to ask yourself, why for so many decades Gone with the Wind was the most popular movie? Look at the black women in that one. You had Mammy, who was the bossy servant, but she was passive and subservient still to the master in Tara. Her whole life was built around them. She was protecting them. Then you had Prissy, who was like an airhead. I mean, those are two things that you have to ask, why was that movie so popular all this time? A lot of the roles that they want us to play, they've been carved out through these types of myths and things like that. So when some of us seek to break out of that role, that perception of what we should be, and we express ourselves in the way that we express ourselves. Oh, well, you're angry. I mean, take it from me, writing about race and issues and things like that for many, many years. That's what I would get all the time in my mail. Well, why you seem to be doing well? Why are you upset about that? It's like, they think that we're supposed to,
be subservient.
Yeah, be subservient, or be just, or be invisible. If we don't have anything good to say, be invisible.
Be invisible.
I mean, all the times that they want you to say, well, why can't you ever say something positive? Because and you know what?
That's weird.
I used to get these letters. Well, can you write about the beauty of this in Jackson? You can't say something positive. I said, do you ask my male counterparts to write something positive? No, I can answer that question, but they want me to do it.
Wow.
Oh, I could talk a lot about that, but we don't have enough time.
I know about the tragedy and how black women are treated in this country and still today. But policy statements, I didn't get a lot whatsoever in terms of But were there any concrete positions that you as a writer, you as a black woman, you as a knowledgeable voter, did you get out or you gleaned from the Trump Pence side? Did you get anything from the vice president that said, never thought about it that way?
No, not a thing.
Wow.
Not a thing.
That's a short answer.
I can answer
That's a long show, but that's a short answer.
Not a thing.
Wow.
And I'm saying it, objectively too. Not a thing. And I tried to listen to both of them objectively, but no, I mean, not a thing out of that. I mean, he, as I said, he came to do what he was told to do, just talk about, pretty much, what the administration was doing. He tried to kind of like, imitate Trump in a way with his obnoxiousness and interrupting Kamala the times he did and everything. But that's what he came to do, was try to, in the way that he did, and in my opinion, pretty much failed to do, uphold that the administration's horrible record. But for the people who already dug in and they don't, and they think that the coronavirus wasn't his fault, that it's the China virus and all that. I mean, all that did was just, reassure those folks. But no, he didn't win anybody over by that. And he didn't say anything different. He said pretty much what Trump said, except he wasn't yelling. Yeah.
Well, no, he did not. So, but what I did appreciate from him was that he was somewhat more calm, though, right?
Yeah,
I mean, so I will say that
he said what Trump said, except he wasn't yelling and bringing up some people's families and things.
Sure.
Yeah.
One thing I think that I'd like to go there is to talk about how the president and of course the vice president supports is that he keeps saying that I've done more for the African American community than anyone in the country ever, with the exception of
Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln. Now, I don't really want to go back to those because I don't know what old Abe did for us, but apparently I know what he signed into law. But does he forget that LBJ signed 2 civil rights acts, number one? Even President Nixon had the idea of employer mandates and expanded coverage of health care, which is now the precursor, now is Obamacare. And that was in 1974. So how does that campaign come up with this opinion that I have been the best when, sir, it's clearly not, you're not the best.
Because that campaign is purely targeted to a base of voters who believe nonsense. I'm just be straight. They believe nonsense. They appeal to a base of voters who are ignorant of history, or they cherry pick the history they want to believe. And this base of voters isn't going to go say, are they telling the truth? They're not going to use Google. They're not going to figure it out and everything. So they just go with it. They know what audience they're dealing with. Nobody who's a student of history or has any English history or lived through civil rights would agree that Trump is the best president for black people since Abraham Lincoln.
That's a stretch. To go that far, that's to say that nothing has occurred that's assisted or uplifted
and obviously
the black community.
And you know why he's saying that, because Abraham Lincoln is probably, in their mind, the last Republican president that black people you could relate to. Although that's not really true. A lot of black people supported Eisenhower. Quite a few supported Nixon.
Sure, they sure
so
did.
that's not even not even true. That's not even true. But in their limited sphere of thought, that's what they're gonna think. And that's what their followers are gonna think. So that's why they continue to say that. Just like, for example, they keep they use their black surrogates. They trot out this craziness all the time about, the Democratic Party was the Klan party. They supported the Klan, Strom Thurmond, and then they said, and they were the problem, and they were the party that supported Jim Crow. And we tell them all the time, all of that stuff is true. But when the Democratic Party became the party of civil rights in '64, after the civil rights bills were signed, and Lyndon Johnson said we probably lost the white vote, he was right. He was right because since the Civil Rights Acts were passed, the Democratic Party has never gotten the majority of the white vote in any election. They never. You can look that up. Never gotten the majority of the white vote. That's a fact. And then on top of that, what happened after that is, all the former Jim Crow people, Strom Thurmond, Jesse Helms, what happened to them? The segregationists went to the Republican Party. They became Republicans. That Southern strategy was Nixon going. They figured they could get these disaffected white voters who are angry about desegregation. In other words, racists, what can get those people into the party. And now, many years later, it's now backfiring on them because the country has changed. The demographics has changed. And that's why they're trying to do all of this stuff to the elections, because they're losing the country because the country's changed.
Let's talk about the Republican base. Let's talk about the president's base. And I think the president's base, and I've looked at the numbers, his numbers are high with those whites who do not have a college degree.
Actually, that's not as high as it was the last time. But it's still high.
That's very true.
But it's still high, though.
But also, one of the numbers I think that really should concern him and his entire team is the numbers that he's losing in terms of seniors. And you're from Florida, Florida probably has more, what do they call those birds snowbirds that come in from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and all those places in the Northeast, which is another argument, how they get down there, all of a sudden they're very conservative. So what were they in New York and New Jersey all of a sudden? And so now you got these snowbirds down there, the villages outside of Central Florida. How in the world can he win, Tonyaa, if he does not have seniors? And Joe is over-indexing in seniors. I mean, when we talk about a candidate who is doing extremely well in seniors, Joe's over-indexing in seniors right now.
I don't see how you can win without seniors. Wow. Although I'm careful about Florida. I'm from Florida, but Florida has disappointed many times. So who knows? I mean, because with Florida, it's going to mount the turnout. But I think that senior phenomena, one word, COVID-19. I mean, the man got on and said that he had surrogates to say, well, seniors shouldn't mind sacrificing for the economy. Well, you can't assume just because somebody old they're ready to die. They want to be on this side of the veil as long as they can be, especially if you retired to Florida. You got sunshine, in some places, fresh air.
Sure. Water? You went down there to live
no sales tax. No sales tax, no state sales tax, anything like that. Wow. So that's why you went to Florida.
Oh, stop. No sales tax? Now you got me wanting to go down to Florida.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. Excuse me. You have no state. Excuse me.
State income
I'm wrong.
tax.
State income tax.
Oh, God.
Yeah. No.
I was telling people, don't pack your bags. We're out of
here. No. Let me correct that, folks. I meant state income tax.
I got you. Wow.
Yes. No state income tax. You have all of those things. And, you don't have those brutal winters where you got to shovel snow and things like that. So, they don't want to hear about, they don't want to have to worry about a virus that's going to kill them because they're vulnerable as seniors and he hadn't controlled it and he doesn't seem to be. Plus, a lot of may be paying attention to his ideas about trying to cut the payroll tax, which is going to affect Social Security. I'm concerned about that because, in a few years I'll be collecting Social Security. And right now I might get a good chunk out of Social Security if I'm not going to retire it. That means 70 is a little late, but if 65, I'll do okay. Sure. But I don't want that cut, because he's trying to give breaks to people who don't deserve them. So that they're looking at that and that's what they're looking at. And if they turn out and they actually vote the way they say, if they're more afraid of coronavirus and their Social Security being cut, as they are, black people, right?
Stop. Hold on right there. Hold on. We got to take a quick break. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more because I can't hold it back. It's kind of like the debates here, folks. Look, I'm a little bit of Susan Page. I'm gonna release this ball of fire over here. We'll be right back with more of Funky Politics right here on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to R&R on Sports. We are pleased to have with us today Mike Wallace, who is the Grind City Media Senior Editor. Mike, welcome to R&R on Sports.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me, man, and I hope you guys are safe and pushing through this, man. Thanks a lot. It's been far too long. I'm glad we're finally able to do this.
Absolutely. But Howard, you got to put some respect on this brother's name. Now, he used to do the Heat Index for the Miami Heat. This brother went to the championship 4 times in a row. Now, he wasn't on the court actually before the game and after the game, but he went to the championship 4 times in a row with the Miami Heat. What's up, my brother Mike?
Hey, what's going on, man?
KUDZUKIAN. Check out all your KUDZUKIAN favorites now. Download the KUDZUKIAN app, available on Android and iOS.
And we are back here on Funky Politics,
Yeah.
y'all.
Hey.
And I got a firebrand in the studio with me today. I gotta hold her back, folks. Gotta hold her back.
That's right. Hold
You
it
know.
back.
So, we're talking here with Tonyaa Weathersbee, world-renowned columnist with the Commercial Appeal newspaper. And, wow, we have just dissected the entire debate from 2020 and some of the campaign strategies on both sides. But I want to get into something else that we talked about a little bit earlier on the show in the opening part, and that was stimulus.
Yeah.
Stimulus 2, which is the paying out of monies to citizens. The president at first was on board with it, Tonyaa, and now apparently he said he's pulling back all of his representatives. Now he says,
back on board.
now he says, well, I'm kind of with the $1,200 and I'm kind of with the airlines. Tell you, where the hell are we with stimulus? And in your facts and your research, like, where are we today with trying to make sure Americans can pay the rent in November? And to be honest with you folks, if it's going to happen in November, I don't know what you're going to do because if evictions are back on, you're probably going to go through some evictions.
A lot of people, it's very difficult for me to fathom this whole idea that a lot of people may be out on the streets for Christmas.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, what kind of Christmas? I mean, are those folks going to have? We're about to get into the holiday season now. So, but the Democrats are holding strong because they just don't. And you have people who are saying, well, if you get a piece of it, it's still good. But, but I see why they're holding off because they don't want Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats are trying to stop big corporate giveaways again. Because keep in mind, a lot of small businesses didn't get PPP money the last time, while a lot of big organizations like the Catholic Church got money they didn't ask for. So they're trying to prevent that kind of thing from happening again. And, and they want to increase keep the unemployment at 600. They might step down to 400 on that just so that people have something. But Donald Trump, let's just be honest about this. The man is full of COVID right now. I don't care what anybody says. He's full of. He was.
You sure he's full of COVID? Is what you? Oh, I thought you said he's full of something else. But
no.
We're going to start with COVID.
No, that's his son.
Wow. Get out of here.
Just joking. But anyhow, no. But I'm just. But no. He's full of COVID-19 right now.
Wow.
I don't care. I've had people to tell me, well, I think he's faking it. No, he's not faking it. He's not. He's matter of fact. When I left my house, I was hearing on MSNBC where he's going to go on the air tonight with a doctor to do an exam to show everybody that he's okay.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who's going to believe a TV doctor, but carry on. That's what he likes. That's what.
Now I hadn't heard that one there.
Oh yeah. He's going to have an exam on air. He's going to have
So, but it has to be if he's going to take one of those quick ones. I think it's still 15 minutes. So he's going to wait 15 minutes to show y'all. Oh God, it's like a pregnancy test. It's blue.
We living in the twilight zone.
We're gonna have a baby here because
we living in the twilight zone, folks. But no, so if what they're saying taking those steroids, and we know steroids can throw you off a little bit. So he's probably not thinking straight because as much as he loves the stock market and he says I'm cutting off the stimulus, talks until after I'm reelected, which sound like for all intents and purposes blackmail. Then the stock market tanked. Somebody told him, man, come on now. Like Joe Biden said, come on, man.
So he did say that. He said until I'm going to pull back my representatives until after
the election. Yeah.
So let's just say we're gonna gamble on something.
Yeah.
What if he loses?
Okay.
Then why does he need to do anything else? Why would he do anything else?
Yeah.
To help save the economy?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm gonna leave it for the next administration. Not saying that's what's gonna happen, my listeners and my audience.
And
at
that's
all,
the scariest thing.
But what happens when he decides
and pundits have said that too. They said if he loses, and right now the polls don't look real good for him. Yeah. I make no guarantees, but right now,
because we say polls don't vote. People vote. Polls don't vote.
Yeah.
If you believe a poll, that's good.
Yeah.
But I would still do what I normally have to do.
Please go
which
vote
is
because that's based on people, turning out in a way they think they're going to turn out. But these polls don't look anything like the 2016 polls. They're not even in the same ballpark. So they've corrected for the polling errors too. So you can take that however you want to take it. But let's say he doesn't win. He doesn't win again, and he says, well, he doesn't seem to me to be the type, who would not try to get payback on folk. Y'all didn't vote for me, so I don't care. It wouldn't surprise me. And I think he'd burn the house down.
Well, and I want to let's stay right there. I was going to go somewhere else, but I want to go back there because that question was posed to him in the first presidential debate, presidential debate 2020, the first one, and then in Cleveland, and this one with the vice presidential candidate, it was still posed in another way. What do you do, Mr. Vice President? If and how do we do this if you all do not win? I mean, do you go out gracefully, or do you go out and you burn the house down? Well, do they burn the house if they don't win? What can we expect from a Republican administration?
I think we have very clear indicators that he's not going to go out gracefully. I mean, he can't even. I can't believe we're at a juncture in our history, in our entire history, as in this country, where you actually have to extract the promise from the president that he'll hand over power peacefully. I mean, that's banana republic stuff. Yeah, it's just really, and actually now when I think about it, Pence wouldn't even commit to that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The question was posed.
They won't. I mean, that's just real basic. That's just very, very basic stuff right there.
In a democracy.
Yeah.
This is what occurs. And we taught these in some of our organizations that if you're on the other side of the majority, then you just come back up once the decision is made. You come back up to the level of majority and you unite. And you move forward.
A peaceful transfer of power has been the bedrock of this democracy forever. That's what separates us from.
I don't think we've ever had one that was not peaceful.
I mean, and now you got this guy saying, "I'll think about it," and which
he said, "We'll see."
Yeah, we'll see. And like Joe Biden, with his comforting voice, said, "Listen, when he'll be gone, don't worry about that. If he loses, he's gone." So we'll. And I guess with that, we'll see.
I don't want to speculate on what that means, but it apparently means you don't get a ride on Marine One anymore. So we're going to put you in a truck and all of your belongings and send you. Well, he doesn't want to go back to New York apparently because he really doesn't want to go back to New York. So I guess he'll go to Florida. And down to Mar-a-Lago or somewhere down there in Palm Beach and live out the rest of his existence.
But the thing is we're at that juncture in our history where we have that going on, and we've got plenty of clues by him making that statement. He's made that statement, and him, still talking about mail-in ballots are fraudulent. I think that gives us a huge insight as to what he'll do if he loses and people are still waiting on the stimulus. He won't do it. He won't do it. He can't. I mean, he was looking forward to putting his name on the checks and putting his name on stuff and everything. I mean,
name's on the last checks now. And what's so funny about it is your name was on checks. That there's no paper checks that go. Well, there's some paper checks that went out, but for the most part, most of us got
electronically.
So I didn't see his name, but anyway,
I got a letter though later on. I hope you didn't
I didn't get the letter. That was weird, but anyway. So I want to stay right there in talking about this stimulus piece. Airlines. Let's talk about the airlines, folks. The airlines in our country, of course, all our U.S.-based airlines have already said they're laying off better than 35,000 plus employees. They've already started in the month of October, and they furloughed a bunch of employees, and they said, hey, we'll call you back. Now, these are businesses that were really cash rich prior to the pandemic started. And I understand some are burning through $5 billion a month.
Wow,
that's quite a bit to burn through that much cash as a major corporation. But they're burning through that kind of money.
I'm surprised they're doing that when not a lot of people are flying now.
Well, that's why they're burning through it, because they've had to condense those routes, right? So they're still flying planes, but they're not flying as many planes. But they were still paying employees because they took the PPP money, right?
Employees.
Well, but now that money ran out in September. My question to you, Tonyaa, is: should the American people, should the public have to bail out to the tune of $25 billion to $28 billion the airline industry? I mean, why, when a lot of us are not even able to afford a ticket to go anywhere, especially internationally, why should we bear the brunt of that?
No, I don't think we should. We shouldn't bear the brunt of that. We shouldn't bear the brunt of that. Right now, we can't, like you said, we can't afford a ticket right now. And and then and I understand that package is supposed to help them, but it's not helping the average person. Maybe if you want to give some of us some stimulus money, some of us might be able to buy a ticket and you won't have to. But right now, no. I mean, if the average person got to suffer, then everybody else gonna have to suffer. I mean, it's just
so. But now that means 35,000 people are laid off. And what I understand about
that's a tough one.
You got pilots, you got flight attendants, you got support, you got personnel on the ground.
Well, then here's a solution.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'd support that if they don't lay people off. if they prioritize the money to help people keep their jobs.
Now that's going to be a promise that they'll have to make
They'd
again
have to
because
make
they
a
made that first promise.
I think they broke it.
Well,
Did they break it?
no. They kept it until September, but as of October 1, but they did let them know in August, hey, you won't have a job after October 1.
Yeah.
And so now I'm assuming that they're talking about these additional dollars to get us through the pandemic. So hopefully by March, people will
but
be
you know
back
what?
to
Then
flying.
I'll flip around and say, okay, if I didn't
flip-flopper.
think about that. I'm a
She's a
flip flop.
She's flip-flopping here on Funky Politics.
Hey, you know what? You know what? You can. You know
You're
what? That's the
entitled-
beauty. You can. If you can change your mind. You're nothing wrong when you present it with a different perspective and different set of facts.
What did the vice president say to
Yeah.
Senator Harris? He
Yeah.
said, now, Senator Harris, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts.
And that's what.
I like
And
that.
I'd be giving those names. I'd be giving them. That guy used to say that all the time. And that's when he'd get the look that I gave. No, you the one. Who needs it? You need to follow your own advice.
I got you. Let's talk about our president. The 800-pound gorilla in the room tells me that the president's recent bout with COVID and his continuing decline of support among seniors and suburban white females is going to probably cost him the election. But let's elevate this conversation about the COVID-19 diagnosis. He's diagnosed, according to him, about 1 a.m. Friday morning a week ago. He made it known on Twitter. Twitter that he was, and that's tweeting, folks, that he was corona positive, 19 positive. So the day, as we got into the day, they decided they were going to move him from the White House, which is a very nice, secure medical facility, to Walter Reed. Which is an interesting place because there were a lot of things that were said, but they did not give us a lot of information. They gave us some information, but not a lot of information. This president is now getting ready to go back out on the campaign trail.
Wants to have a rally in Florida.
So, of all places, Florida, around other people who are his age who can't take this.
With the highest number of, with just a coronavirus. I'm not even sure I'm be able to go home for Christmas because it's a COVID-19 hotspot. So he's gonna go there and shed more virus. Well, good going.
Wow.
Thank you for that.
Wow. So, but he has. If he's got the virus, you got this 9-day incubation piece that you've been treated, and he's had some pretty good drugs now. He's had some stuff,
and he got the best of care. Yeah.
So maybe he is coronavirus free. Maybe. Maybe he is now. I don't see. We don't know enough. Dr. Connolly, Dr. Sean Connolly, his position.
Sean Connolly. I always think about Sean Connery, James Bond.
So you think it's the same thing?
Connolly.
So if his physician is saying he's healthy now to appear at a rally, should there be any concern with those folks who are showing up to the rally and they're going to be in his space?
I'm gonna give you the Kamala.
Oh God, she gave me that look, y'all. I don't like that. That's not the mean angry woman. that's a condescending look.
Well,
dude, are you serious?
here's what I'll say about that.
I got you.
If seeing Trump on the news, coughing, everything, with all the uncertainty around his health, because it's still uncertainty,
and he's the president of the United States.
I don't believe Dr. Connolly. I just be honest with you. I don't believe Dr. Connolly. I think Dr. Connolly probably is under a lot of pressure.
Now, is that your journalist hat or is that your I'm a sister from the South hat? Which one of those hats you're wearing?
That's my sister from the South.
Sister from the South. Okay, I got you.
I mean, and also my journalism hat because, we know that everybody who comes into Trump's sphere, they have to sign NDAs. They have to sign all these things and stuff. And because of his past behavior, you got to know these folks are under a lot of pressure. So I trust Dr. Fauci. Yeah. Dr. Fauci said that about the incubation period. Yeah. So and
Dr. Redfield of CDC as well.
Yeah, say that too. Yeah, Dr. Fauci, I trust Dr. Fauci for sure. But the thing is if he goes to Florida with everything that everyone knows about him, proclaiming he's cured, and he has a rally and people show up, it's on the people who showed up. I mean, if you're stupid enough to go to a rally, when he's had coronavirus, when it's all this uncertainty out there about whether or not he's cured of coronavirus, and that Florida is a hot spot and everything for coronavirus, even if you don't get it from him, we know that it's, then I don't know what to say. I mean, I just think that, hey, that's Darwin working.
So it's that thing that we talk about the personal responsibility
thing,
that the Republican Party and the conservatives always talk about.
That's Darwin working right there. So all I can say is that the people I would feel is worse for are people whoever the rally goers go around after they go from the rally, and whatever they pick up.
Well, I want to get into that, but you just mentioned the virus and how Senator Harris stated about the vaccine. Let's talk a little bit about the vaccine for a quick second. Senator Harris, she made a point. She said, if the vaccine is presented as such by scientists, she said, I trust Dr. Fauci.
I trust.
She said, but there's no. She said, now if Donald Trump tells me to take it, she said, there's no way I'm going to take it. And then the vice president shot back and said, well, look at you. You are really decimating the benefit of this vaccine, and it's worth all of this.
No, she didn't.
She
just
basically
said Donald
that
Trump said take it.
Yeah. And
yeah.
he tried to defend the
Donald
fact.
Trump did that, would do that if he did that. Yeah.
So I saw that in the debate. What was your thought on that? I mean, I understand what she said, but now if he does say, if he says, hey, DC, you're the first in line, and I want you to take this vaccine, it's good for you. I'm going to probably say, Mr. President, I pass. But now, have we gotten to that level of conversation in our country where we can't believe our leader? Our leader?
Yeah, wow. We have. It's sad. It's very, very sad. I mean, the whole when he and it's sad because when it was announced that Donald Trump had coronavirus on my face, and I test the temperature a lot when I'm seeing on Facebook. Sure. Ton of people saying he's lying. I don't believe he has it. He's just trying to get sympathy because he's losing. And I had to explain to a lot of people. I said, nah, he has it. And I'll tell you why. First of all, if you paid attention to him, he has a real macho kind of strong image. He goes, he takes off he doesn't want. I mean, and I had to explain to them. Ask what would be the upside. Even my mom, I said, what would be the upside to him saying he got coronavirus? Well, so people can feel sorry for him. I said, who's gonna vote for somebody who's sick? I mean, what would be the upside to him saying he has this when he's been saying it's a hoax? When he's been saying, if anything, it's damaging. He'd be trying to hide it. So but to your point, this is how lies and misinformation has polluted our whole discourse. So we can't believe our leaders. We can't, particularly this one. You can't believe us coming out of any place and everything. And, people are just distrustful everywhere. And actually, that's on both sides to a certain degree. Before I came over here, there was MSNBC did this piece where they were talking to Trump voters in Staten Island. And these people, was saying things that were just unbelievable. One lady was saying that she believed the theories about celebrities and who being child molesters and pedophiles. I mean, the QAnon stuff. And the thing is when the journalists who interviewed them about the things that they were saying that weren't true showed them the facts, they just dug in with the lies. And, I don't know what you do with that.
Has he convinced the American public that the media is fake? Has he? I've got an opinion, but as a person who does this every day, you live and you breathe this every single day of your life as a world-renowned journalist and a columnist. Has he convinced the public? So when you walk into a place and you're ready, let's say you walk into a place that's new. Yeah. Are you kind of looking over your shoulder now? Are you afraid for your safety?
Yeah.
Has he convinced the American public that
he's convinced
that the news media is
he's convinced crooked. A sliver, maybe more than a sliver of the American public that the news is fake, and he's well for some time now. But didn't just really start with him. For some time, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say well, I'm not gonna go out on a limb and just tell you. Kind of started maybe with Fox News. When Fox News started, when they started twisting, and the thing you have to understand about what they do is this: you can present facts, but if you present facts out of context,
gotcha.
That's just like telling a lie. It's like saying, like somebody saying, well, school desegregation didn't work because nobody just because a black kid sits next to a white kid, that doesn't mean they're going to learn. Well, you have to be an idiot to think that's what the whole conversation was about. Wow. It was not about a black kid. It was about being in a place where you can get the same resources and get the same
and it's equal.
And it's equal. It's not about that. But people bought that, But the people who were more prone to buy it were people who were against that anyway and everything. But the people who didn't know the history and context and naive would buy it. And so that's the they've played for a lot. Now they have people in it who just outright lie, And there's nobody on there to check their life. We don't have the fairness doctrine. Reagan got rid of that. The fairness doctrine was the doctrine that said if somebody makes a presentation, particularly political things, then the other person gets equal time to refute that. Okay, well, you get to tell your side. People can make a decision. But now you have people who sit and watch Fox News, listen to Rush Limbaugh all day long. And
they have social media.
And social media actually put the whole disinformation thing on steroids. That's why everybody's on the Mark Zuckerberg right now, because now Facebook is taking down those QAnon platforms, but it's almost too late because people been exposed to that now. I mean, the guy tried to blow up a pizza place because he thought pedophiles was in the back. It's just nuts stuff that I'm thinking, why would you believe that? Just this morning, somebody posted, one of my friends on Facebook posted something saying that Ilhan Omar, quoting Ilhan Omar, saying when we get the White House and the Senate back, we're going to end Social Security for seniors. I said, Sheila, don't tell me you believe that. Don't tell me you believe that. I said, first of all,
for real,
this comes from it, and it was something called Bust a Troll. It's a satire website that a guy actually formed as a stunt to see how many people would believe stupid stuff, and people just post it,
and they share it,
and they share it, and they share it. And now the thing is she's got somebody like me to correct it and tell you,
that's right.
that it. But a lot of people think if that reached people who actually believe that, and then at that point you got to ask people common sense now.
So you
really.
do you
believe
so
that?
you have a low information voter.
Yeah,
or a low information citizen.
Yeah.
And when I say low information, I don't mean that they're ignorant.
Yeah.
Well, the term ignorant is two parts. One is stupid,
Yeah.
and one is not knowing, right?
Yeah.
And so so there is some ignorance that you don't know that that's not true because you don't even know who Ilhan Omar is.
Yeah.
You don't know that she's really a junior congressperson who cannot probably move major legislation by herself anyway. She can move some things, but
a few years ago, somebody was posting a bunch of stuff about when the Democrats lost, when Obama was in office. Mm-hmm. Democrats lost the House. Y'all should have voted because now they posted a story about how they're going to end all the food stamps and all the benefits.
Yeah, I remember that. Wow.
I told my friend, I said, you can possibly believe that.
No.
They can't just unilaterally do that. If that happened, and you really think Obama's going to sign off on something like that, that's, if we survive this thing as America, if we survive Trumpism, three things need to happen. We need to make a push in schools for media literacy, which is going to include how to decipher, fake news, how to tell, civics education, because these people who say things like, well, I support him because he's doing everything I want, and the people who keep saying, well, he wants to bail out, they just want to bail out blue states. We all one country. Not to mention the fact that it's the blue states that supplement the red states. History, we got to get people up to that date, and we got to get people, media literacy and civics education.
We got to get people smarter. We just got to give them.
We got to stop being less. Rachel Maddow said this, and it was perfect. She said, "We got to stop being less dumb real soon."
Whoa! Hey, right quick before we get out of here, the census. Well, the federal judge, I think Judge Koh out in California, she had a nationwide blanket to say you will move the census forward to the 31st of October at least. The administration has appealed to the Supreme Court. The appellate court kicked it back and said, "Hey, she's right." Give me your take on what happens. Will the Supreme Court uphold the 31st, the date of the 31st now for getting the census numbers done?
It's hard for me to say what the Supremes will do because the truth is Kavanaugh and Gorsuch has surprised me a couple times.
Haven't they?
They have. Sometimes that's and that might be why they're not talking about court packing yet because sometimes those guys get on there and surprise you. The only one who hadn't surprised me and I'd hope was surprised was Clarence Thomas
and Samuel Alito.
Alito.
Alito surprised me on and we'll talk about this in another show again. But Samuel Alito, he did surprise me on one room. Like, whoa, really?
While Clarence Thomas predictable on all of it, which I don't understand why he got a job for life, but but that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole nother show. But anyway, hey, look, I gotta get out of here. Hey, look, folks, let me tell you something. I'll be right back with some more closing thoughts, but I want to make sure that you know where to catch her at the Commercial Appeal newspaper. She writes a weekly column. You got to check out Tonyaa Weathersbee. She is the truth, Ruth. I'm telling you right now, right?
And also, you can go to my website and you can find out all about me at www.TonyaJWeathersbee.com.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, I'll be right back with some closing thoughts.
Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, one and all, to the little show that we like to call Black Nerd Power, BNP if you're nasty. I'm your host, Mr. Richard Douglas Jones, and with me, the co-hosts of Black Nerd Power, Mr. Marcus Seabury.
What's up, my nerd?
Oh, nerd, please. And Ms. Kimber, what's happening, man?
Hi. All right, first, here is the rage figure.
I love his helmet.
Talking about escapism and like, yo, I'm mad, but I'm tired. Like, is it okay that, like, if instead of going out to protest tonight, I want to sit and watch a movie? I'm just like, hell yeah, it's fine.
A quote-unquote woke romance that features a character that's not being, like, objectified for her body, that does not necessarily mean that that book will not have sex in it.
And I think on that note, we're going to end the show.
KUDZUKIAN. Download the KUDZUKIAN app. Available on Android and iOS.
Hey, when I say we are real, right, and funky on this program here, it ain't no lie, folks. When I tell you that Tonyaa Weathersbee brings the smoke, she brings the smoke, not only from a local level, from a national level as well. She's one of the University of Florida's finest out of the School of Journalism there, right? Let me tell you, we dissected this thing. We talked about COVID-19. We talked about the president's stance. We talked about the VP debate, y'all. You got to get engaged. You got to get engaged. You got to get engaged. You got to vote. Also, make sure while this relief is out there from the federal court out of California regarding the census, make sure you go online, you participate in the census. It means a lot. I can tell you right now, locally in Memphis and Shelby County, for every person that does not fill out the census, that's $16,000 of funding that the local governments they lose. So you got to make sure that you are doing your part, because a lot of those dollars could go to roads and bridges. They could go to K through 12 education, and they could go to pre-K education as well as assisting us with trying to reimagine what we think policing ought to be in our country as we go forward. So make sure you do what you got to do. The COVID-19 is not going anywhere at all. We still have got to do our thing, folks. We still have got to socially distance. We got to wash our damn hands, and we got to wear those face masks. They do save lives. Your actions do save lives. Do what you got to do. Hey, look, we're going to be around here, folks. We're hoping that there's going to be a stimulus too before our next program. But if not, I'll see you again right here on Funky Politics, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network. I'm out of here.